Hello and welcome to the 72nd episode of Fur, Fins, and Feathers. Happy New Year. Today our guest is Vania Noverca-Viveiros of Fall River, a well-known animal painter and ornithologist, and you do it all. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nice I'm very honored to have you.
It's very nice to be here.
How did you start? As your work is collected and renowned throughout the region, how did you start?
Well, I was encouraged by grandparents, parents. I think it was an escape as a child, for whatever reason, whether I was excited about something or sad about something. It was a place I could go and draw. As my grandmother, my paternal grandmother, she kind of encouraged it when she saw that I had a talent for it. She encouraged me to continue with the drawing. Sometimes she'd have me sit there and sketch her or my uncles at the mill yard. My parents owned a lumber yard, so I was there quite often. We lived right next door, so I was doing that a lot at first. And obviously in my teen years, when you get into middle school, you have teachers that encourage you. So I had a teacher at Morton Middle that really encouraged me as well. So yeah, that's kind of how it started.
And your artistic passion took off.
Yeah, absolutely. I kept it private for many, many years, and I didn't really share all my work with a lot of people. So actually, a lot of people who were close to me didn't even know that I, drew or painted. And then I raised 5 kids, so that took a majority of my time. So I did it when I could. When my youngest was in high school, I believe that's when I really took it seriously and took it to a different level. I joined art associations and then had my own studio, and it allowed me to be a little bit more free.
You studied at Bristol Community College?
I did. Yes, I did. I went for 2 years at Bristol Community College, and I didn't finish. I didn't continue to get a bachelor's or anything. But it definitely opened up my eyes, to a lot of different mediums as well, and an appreciation, a greater appreciation for art in general. You obviously study different mediums, so I did a little sculpture and some graphics, and it kind of helps you along the way.
It opened up new avenues for you.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, yes.
And now you have a very wonderful studio at the Narrows.
I do, yes. I have a studio, Studio Incognito, as I refer to it. It's located at 16 Anawan Street in Fall River, Massachusetts. It's also a music venue, so when they have concerts, a lot of the people frequent on the second floor. There's lots of other studios there as well, other artists, photographers. We have
There's an exciting mix of people there.
There is. We have some illustrators and writers. So it's wonderful. It's nice to be around. It's nice to be around other artists as well. So. Okay,
so you have been an art teacher as well.
I have, yes. So at St. I actually started off going to parochial school, St. Michael's School. And about maybe 12 years ago, they had needed some subbing, so they asked me to sub. And realizing that I had, a talent for art, they asked me to be the art teacher there. So, of course, I was more than willing and excited about it. And at the time, I didn't even have a degree, hadn't even had any, didn't have any college behind me to back me up.
But you have a talent.
Correct, and it was something I guess they appreciated and noticed, so they asked me to be the art teacher, and I did, and so I continued working there for about 10 years, 5 years as the art teacher, but 5 years previous was subbing on different subject matter. I was also a teacher, an art teacher or art instructor, I prefer to say, for People Incorporated. So, you know, it was.
I saw that in your bio, and I'd love to learn more about that.
And
That's really interesting.
Well, I did that for about 10 years. So, you know, it was working with people who had disabilities of all sorts. But, you know, art, like I said, was an escape for me, and I find that it was for a lot of individuals too. You know, it opened up new things for them as well. So I did that. I believe it was for just about 11 years for People Incorporated as well. So they would come to my first. I started off going to their facilities, and it started off with the daycare centers, actually doing art projects with the children, and then I was asked to do it with the adults and other facilities. They had, I believe, 3 other facilities in the city at the time. So I would go there and do art projects with them on a weekly basis. And then eventually I had my studio at the Narrows. And Pat Norton, who runs the Narrows Center, he really liked the idea, created a classroom for them upstairs on the 3rd floor. So then they started coming to the Narrows Center, which actually opened up a lot of things for them too, because it involved them with music as well. So Pat Norton had found a couple of musicians who did some music lessons with them too. So it was wonderful. It was fabulous.
That's fascinating. Talk about what you're doing now.
Oh, well, what don't I do? I do a lot of things. I do sculpture, I do painting, drawing, but the past 5 years I've received grants from the Mass Cultural Council and the Fall River Cultural Council, which is a division of the Massachusetts Cultural Council, and received grants to do paintings of birds. So a lot of my focus has been on birds for the past 5 years. So if you walk into my studio, you'll see all sorts of varieties of, from waterfowl to large birds as well, eagles. And then in the past 2 years, I've also started doing commissions for fur baby portraits. And this is one of them here. So this here was
a charming bulldog.
Yes, this is Maggie. Maggie just recently passed away. She was my cousin's
English
companion.
Bulldog.
I would say companion because Maggie never left my cousin's side. So yes, English Bulldog, and lots of character. Over the years, seen lots of videos and photographs that my cousin has posted as well. And when I saw it, I just had to do it, and then I surprised her. I surprised her with one. And I believe it was I forget if it was for her birthday or whatever, but yeah, I've been doing lots of portraits, commissioned portraits, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Any favorite breeds that you have?
Oh well, my favorite breed is definitely the standard poodle. Growing up, I had Fifi. Fifi was my best friend growing up, and she's a funny little story is that most people, when they have a standard poodle, they like to have them all trimmed and ever so perfect. So my mom decided to take her to, a groomer and have her groomed. And she hid. And she didn't like being groomed. So she hid for almost a week under the couch because she didn't like her fur being shaved. So we let her fur grow out, and she looked more like the Shaggy DA as opposed to a standard, poodle groom. So, but yes, that would probably be my favorite breed. So.
The AKC now has, as of the last count that I learned this week, there are almost 200 individual recognized AKC breeds now in the United States.
Wow, that's amazing.
Some of them are very rare, and some of them are more popular, like schnauzers and things like that, and Labradors and Chesapeake Bay Retrievers and stuff. But then there are some that are very obscure. A lot of the rarer breeds are almost petering out in numbers.
Oh wow.
How can people immortalize their dog? With a commission, of course.
I don't know. It's an unconditional love, between, and I like to call it an extended family member as opposed to a pet. I think when people initially, purchase an animal of any sort, yeah, you may think of it as a pet, but
It's really a family member.
it is a family member. It's an extended family member. That's how I feel. It's a family member. And there's an unconditional love. You end up relying on one another. For whatever reason, whether it's a connection that you make with the animal, or the animal makes with you, or even a need that the animal may have for you, but it's unconditional. It's all it just is. And I personally haven't seen any extended family members turn. I know that a lot of people have issues with pit bulls. I've never personally had that experience, only with animal to animal I've seen, but not with animal to human. And I know that takes place, whether it's because of the interactions that, the owner has had with the animal itself. But, sometimes that's sad to see, but that can happen with any breed.
Of course.
So, so I don't like to see that targeted.
And as a dog judge who specializes in terriers, I celebrate every breed, but the pit bulls have been often given a bad rap.
Sometimes, yeah. Yep, absolutely. I mean,
Because
there are people who advocate, on behalf of them, and then there are others that advocate that, that the breed shouldn't exist, or, but it really is up to society and how we handle that situation, and how, how you treat. If you treat a human being bad, we're not going to be so nice either.
Exactly.
So, it can happen the same thing with any type of animal, whether it's a dog or a lion or so forth.
What are some other types of animals that you've painted?
Oh, I've painted polar bears, monkeys, you name it. Whatever tempts my fancy, whatever I like. I had an individual come in my studio just recently, right before Christmas, and he came in and he bought, he kind of pointed out quite a few things that he liked and purchased. But the interesting question is that I never had anybody ask me this question, and he said, I look around and everything's beautiful in your studio. He said, so do you paint things that you think people are going to want to buy, or do you paint things you like? I said, oh, no. Everything you see here I like. So, that's my answer to that. I paint things that I like. So, over the course of my lifetime, yes, I've come across different types of animals or birds or anything that's...
You've got some I love that mallard.
Yep, so this is a mallard here, and that's a merganser down here. He doesn't have the hood up on his head here.
Where do you find your subject matter?
So there are lots of obviously I do take a lot of photographs. Whether it's been taking photographs of loons up in New Hampshire, and
You get to travel.
Right, absolutely. Whether I'm traveling for a personal time or not, I'm going to take my camera with me, because there's always going to be something that's going to inspire me. So I've taken lots of photographs, although, I've used reference photos as well. There are lots of free stock photos out there, too.
Of course.
So if there's a bird I come across and I can't get a good pose, I'm going to look it up. I'm going to look up that bird, or something that I've never seen before. I'm going to look it up. And sometimes I'll actually watch videos on the Autobahn. They have live videos of birds and
They're
fields.
Beautiful.
And what's great about watching the videos is that you can freeze frame. I can freeze frame them, and I can study them, and I like to actually listen. What's great about the Autobahn too is that they'll let you listen to their calls and their mating calls, or whatever the case may be. So it's a learning experience as well. So anytime I come across a different bird and I want to study it, it's a learning experience. So I learned something new.
Do you frequent zoos?
I do. I like zoos as well. Obviously not on the hottest day in the summer, but but yes, I do like zoos. A couple of years ago, we had the opportunity of taking the whole family down to Disney, and I figured all my children were grown up. I have 5 children, and I had a granddaughter at the time, and now I have 2, but I only had 1 at the time. And so we were able to go down to Disney, and what a beautiful, beautiful experience in their zoo. They had lots of birds, so I was able to take lots of photographs. It was fabulous. So I don't think there's enough days in my lifetime to actually paint everything that I want to paint. There's so much inspiration that I really don't think there's enough time for me to do everything that inspires me. But I'm definitely trying my best.
What is your favorite medium?
Oh, favorite or most applied, there's a difference. I do have a love for sculpture. And I did do some sculpture in the past couple of years, but I definitely mostly work in oil. So that I would say that's what I'm known for is working in oil. I've tried other mediums. I've tried, watercolor. To me, I just didn't get the vibrancy that I liked, so I kind of switched to oil.
Acrylics? Have you done any
I've tried acrylics, but I like the flexibility of oil, as far as blending and so forth. To me, there's more versatility with the oil for me. So, and I imagine other people say differently, people who work in acrylics. So it's a matter of preference.
Of course. I'm looking at this. The Bulldog's name?
Maggie.
What character?
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Maggie followed my cousin around everywhere.
And how long did Maggie live to?
Oh, I would be quoting something I don't really know. I want to say that she was with her for at least 11 years. That's what I want to say.
But the minute I saw Maggie in the studio, I said, what a bulldog.
She has another bulldog, Rhino. So Rhino and Maggie were kind of best friends, best buddies.
A lot of people are becoming very enamored by Frenchies, by the French bulldogs.
Yes, I just recently did a French bulldog, and it was actually I was commissioned to do a French bulldog. My son's best friend just had an extended family member pass away, and they had, I believe he was a Maltese, and he passed away. So I did a portrait that was commissioned by my son's friend, and then the person who received the gift had commissioned me to do a portrait of a French bulldog for her daughter. And this dog is absolutely amazing. If you look up my Facebook page, Vania, Noverca-Viveiros on Facebook, I tend to post pictures of past paintings. And I did recently post it. It was commissioned for Christmas, and he is a handicapped French bulldog. So he actually has, I guess I don't know if they call it a wheelchair or not, but he has basically
a cart, an assistant.
Yeah, like an assistant. Yeah. Oh yeah, just amazing. And so her mother had sent me videos, not just photographs, sent me videos, and it was amazing to watch. He would just run through the water with these wheels, and I just found it absolutely amazing. And I most recently noticed that she posted that her dog, Jackson is his name, just found a friend with the same thing, another French bulldog who has a wheelchair as well. So they're becoming walking buddies. So they go for walks together, which
great exercise.
I
for
thought
them
it was.
too.
Oh yes, absolutely. To keep the heart nice and strong. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah.
Do you give lessons?
I did. I did for many years. I actually taught for about private lessons in both group settings or privately. for about 8 years, and then COVID came along, and I just felt it was best for the people who are within my environment, not only for myself, but for people who are around me, for other artists as well. To the less exposure, the better during the COVID times.
Hopefully, it will get better.
Oh yeah, I'm sure of it. I'm sure that it will. So we just hold on to hope and keep moving forward. And
So, what are your winter projects?
oh well, winter projects, they don't. It doesn't.
It never stops.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm sure after people see this video today with us, you're going to get some commissions, I'm sure.
Well, that would be wonderful. That would be wonderful. For the past year during COVID, it kind of changed things. So, as I had said before, I had received some grants from the Fall River Cultural Council to do birds. So I had continued that, but when COVID came along, I had to switch it up. Galleries weren't open. People weren't coming to the Narrows. There was no concerts, couldn't have large crowds. So, I had to kind of think of something different. And at the same time, I felt that there was a need more for art that something to keep people happy, something to look at or to be inspired by. So I had asked for a grant to do art demos. So I did live art demos for a year. It was once a month on Facebook Live. So there were 1-hour videos of painting birds. So whether it was painting the background or the bird itself, it was meant to be, both educational and inspiring as well. It inspired people to go out and outdoors. No better time than during COVID when we couldn't be in crowds or visiting people, to get out there and enjoy nature, what God offers us. So that's what I did for the past year, and anybody can find those videos too. So
Are they going to continue?
I'm hoping so. Whether I get a grant or not, I'm going to continue to do one per month, one video, art demo per month, and that's free to the public. So it's not something that you have to, subscribe to or pay for.
How can people find them?
You can find them right on my Facebook page. So I continue to have them. They just have to scroll through and videos, and sometimes if you type in Facebook, you can type in the Facebook Live videos, Vania, Noverca-Viveiros, and they should pop up, and you can find them. They were called. They had titles of Backyard Birds in Blooms. That was the series. So each one was titled Backyard's Birds in Bloom, but it was just something different, a different bird, or focusing on the background or color theory. So it was a learning experience.
What are some of your favorite birds?
Oh,
I know you love them all.
Oh yeah, that's a question I probably couldn't answer, Brian. I'm sorry, and I do apologize, but yeah, I
love
could
them
not.
all.
Yeah, I do. I live near the reservation in Fall River, and I have seen so many birds, and birds that sometimes really don't even belong in our area.
Unique to this
Oh
area.
yes, absolutely. So, if it comes to little birds, I like the little Carolina wrens. I think they're just such a pretty color, and the way they hop around and they sing. The first ones in the morning to sing these beautiful songs. But then you like the strength of a blue jay. Blue jays can be harsh in their personality, overbearing to other birds. But yet there's something that attracts you to that too. So each bird is unique and beautiful. There are just so many beautiful birds. So I'm sorry, I can't say I have a favorite.
No, but you are encouraging people to be more observant and reflect on the birds and not just see them as something that just flies by, but to study them.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
Appreciate them.
Oh, appreciate them, and you can learn from them. Let's face it. So, I would have to say that the first humans on Earth watched the birds as well. They didn't know what to eat, so they watched the birds. What did the birds eat? And so yeah, we can learn from them. That as far as environment goes, You know, they changed as the environment. They change as the environment changes. So, you know, it's up to us to maintain what we have. So I've tried to bring kind of focus to that as well. You know.
Have you ever painted a penguin?
I have not. I have not painted a penguin. I would love to. I do like penguins. I think that's the smaller ones. I do like that. I really do like the smaller ones. I know Roger Williams Zoo had the smaller.
The mini, little.
Yeah, they're
small
little.
ones.
Yeah, they're little. They're about this big, and yes, you know, sometimes a little bit of yellow on their belly. But yeah, I would definitely like to paint some.
Very good. You've painted seals.
I have. Yes, I have. Yeah. Seals, beavers, like I said, polar bears, monkeys, horses.
Monkeys.
Yeah, I've painted monkeys earlier on in my earlier years. But I haven't recently done.
Have you done cats?
I have never painted a cat. No.
Why not?
Don't know. I've had many
You like
cats in my life.
cats?
Oh, absolutely. I would say I've had many cats in my lifetime. So yeah, you know, I don't know why I've never painted a cat. That's interesting.
Yeah. Our friend Judy Gates, who, as I said, recently passed away, stopped me we were at a meeting, and she said to me, you know, she says, I'm just starting. She says, I've been painting for 60, 70 years. She says, and I just painted my first cat.
Isn't that funny? Well, I might have to do the same. So I recently noticed a picture. It's funny you said that because Chuck Boucher, who
Good friend.
yes, he also has a studio at the Narrow Center for the Arts. You know, he is
Love his work.
fabulous. I own some of his work. I can say that. I'm not just an artist, but I collect art as well, and I do own a piece of Chuck's. But he has a cat, and I just recently saw a photograph of a cat that he has, and I believe his name is Ron. So if I get permission from Chuck, that might be the first cat that I paint, because I really, really love this cat. He's gray in color, and I'm not sure, you know, what type of breed, if, you know, whether purebred or not, but he's got an interesting face. So that might be one of the first cats I paint.
I think it's important. It's something you just said, but I think it's important that people support other artists.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I mean, in the art world, and don't get me wrong, you know, just like any field, there's always going to be, what's the challenging opportunities is what I would call them, you know. And some people might think it's competitive, or that's not how I want to approach art. You know, that's not me. That's not how I approach it. I want to be a sponge. I want to learn as much as I can, and absorb whatever somebody else knows. Sure, why not? If you can learn from somebody else and experience through what they convey, why not? You know, that's a gift, no matter what.
When I went to the Narrows and saw they had that little artist preview, it was so educational and inspiring. And they're telling me now that we are coming to an end.
Well, thank you. Thank you
was a
very much for
pleasure
having
to
me. Yeah,
have
thank you very
you.
much for having me.
It was really great, and we'll have you back again.
Okay, thank you very much, Brian, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, too, and Happy New Year to everyone else.
Thank you.
Out there, it was a pleasure, and stay warm and well. And don't fall on the ice.